Hello and welcome back, and today I want to talk about what I believe to be one of the very few things that I've ever talked about on the channel that is a perfect product. Genuinely, here on the channel there's only ever been one product that I've called perfect, and it was this. This is a USB 4 drive in the Mondrian style that actually gave me USB 4 top performance, and frankly that was the only product I've ever thought of as perfect. But this is UGREEN's NAS UPS, and I am just baffled in trying to find a problem with it, because frankly I don't understand why this has not existed for the better part of 2 decades. It is insanity to me that we've had to wait till 2025 for someone in the NAS world to pull their finger out and release this. This is a native UGREEN UPS for NAS. This arrives at 120 watt rating, and that's a 1200 milliamp battery inside with 4 individual 3000 milliamp lithium modules inside there, rocking out with full integration with UGREEN's own UGREEN NAS software, and again it expands to both the value series and the standard class series, with only the 6 and the 8 bay not supported because they use direct 3-pin mains power input. If your UGREEN NAS uses an external PSU, this will work with it, and it's just $99. This allowed me to have a true native first party UPS on UGREEN's NAS systems. And again, it begs the question, why did we have to wait so long? In a world of NAS hard drive, with Synology putting the name on that, NAS-based PCIe upgrade cards, NAS-labelled RAM modules, NAS cameras, if you will. Why has it taken this long for us to have a UPS? Now, of all of the brands in the world of NAS, I think most of us can agree that UGREEN are one of the newest names in hardware turnkey NAS. They've only got about, at least in the West, about a year to year and a half experience, and in the East around about since 2020, 2021. But they've got 14 years of experience in batteries, in power delivery, in PSUs, in bulk PSU power delivery, and you feel it in this device. You do. Everything from the ease of the software development when you are using UGREEN and the settings that you can configure, which are very NAS specific, more on that later on, to the design itself being very compact. I chuffing love this thing. If I had to think of any fault off the top of my head right now, it sounds stupid. It's availability. It took me forever to get hold of one of these in the UK. They've now been listing, I believe, in Germany, in the US, and of course they've been available out in the East for a long time. But genuinely, it took me this long to get hold of one, and now I could not love it more. I am well aware that I am gushing about a device that might be one of the dullest things that's ever sat on this table other than me, but it has to be said that UPSs in NAS, the minute you take your data seriously, much like we take our RAID configuration seriously and our backup configuration seriously in snapshots, having redundant power suppliers or having PSUs in serious data utilization is important. It's not just for the obvious stuff, like you want to be able to access your data in the event that there's a power failure, but what about an active write? What about an active engagement with the system for your clients or for you personally or a backup, where if there's a power failure or someone just trips over an external power brick, not unheard of, you don't want the system to not only go completely offline, but potentially damage an existing RAID, undermine or invalidate a write activity or anything like that. This allows a user with an incredibly compact desktop deployment to engage with a very small but very effective UPS. Now, it arrives with pretty much everything. You connect to it with a USB cable attached, it's even sodding UGREEN branded, and you just stick it in the back via the USB. You take your NAS, you take the USB, you connect it to the rear. Once that's connected, you then take the the DC power jack, attach that into the NAS, and then take your power supplier that you've got running, and instead of running the DC power into the NAS, run the DC power into the UPS. The light comes on, you turn the NAS around, and you turn the NAS on. And that's it. It's really that straightforward. And now I can play with the settings. Now the settings that exist on the UPS software, let's turn this off, it's going to get a bit noisy now behind the fan. When I say that this device is native to the UGREEN NAS operating system, UGOS, I mean it. Notwithstanding that it even has its own sodding firmware update, so it isn't just a battery pack with a cable hanging out the back. On top of that, within the hardware and power settings of UGREEN NAS systems, and again, whether that is you're running an RK powered chip or you're running an Intel, it gets picked up in the hardware and power section, and from there you can play with numerous settings. You can make sure that the system goes into auto shutdown or timed shutdown. So in the event that you do have a power failure, you can set it so that the system will automatically power the device down immediately, or wait until the power on the device reaches a certain low level. So say for example there's only 15% battery left on the UPS, you can set it up that the system will automatically power down the device, or have it automatically shut it down, or have it set the device into standby mode automatically to further lengthen the operational access time of your system. You can set it on a managed schedule for as little as 5 minutes or longer, so you can ensure that the system is accessible for a preset amount of time before it triggers the shutdown on the device safely. Lastly, you can set it up so that the UPS will safely shut down the NAS, but also the minute power is re-provided to the building or the location that the NAS is in, it will automatically ping the device awake. That's important because that means you may not even know there was a power failure until you read the notification logs the next day. This system will both power down and power on the device if you need to. And again, for just $100 nicker, I'm not going to say there aren't cheaper UPSs than this, but having a native NAS brand UPS that works in unison on a first-party development level with the NAS is so rare at desktop, it needs to be acknowledged. Now this device runs off your existing NAS PSU. As mentioned, you need to be using a NAS that uses a DC barrel connector, so not direct to mains input. That would be the DXP6800 or DXP8800 series. This doesn't work with those, but every other UGREEN NAS at the time of recording, this is compatible with, and I've tested it with both as mentioned. But do keep in mind that this device will only help you in the event of supplying 1200 milliamps of power to your NAS. It won't help you long term. This is about secure power down. This should not be considered as a means of running your NAS portably on the go. That's not what UPSs are for. Now, we did some tests. We tested 3 different operational scenarios. In my first test, as you can see here on screen, we went for a simple power pull. We had the UPS software set to just simply allow the device to keep functioning until the UPS reached 15% power. We didn't wait it out, but we just did a very simple power pull of the rear of the UPS from the mains outlet, and as you can see on screen, it continued to set the system running. The alert time took a little under 2 seconds, and we saw notifications in the logs, and we're still able to play multimedia, download media and play with the files just like we could normally. The next test involved going for the auto shutdown mode. So rather than going into a low power mode, if I pulled the power on the UPS, or in other words to simulate a complete power failure, I wanted to see how quickly the system would react and shut down. I pulled the power out of the UPS while still maintaining the connection between the UPS and the NAS, and as you can see, the reaction time there was remarkably fast, and it allowed the system to safely power down upon the event of power delivery to the office or just the plug point it's going into failing. And our final test was a long one, so much so that I have had to speed up the footage for you here a little on screen. This was utilising the UPS on a 5-minute automated scheduled shutdown and to simulate what would happen if power was re-delivered to the system. So I set the settings up and then pulled the power from the UPS and then just waited 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, just like the software indicated, the UPS then pinged the system to shut down safely, which it then did. Around about 30 seconds after the system had fully shut down, I then reinstated power into the UPS, and as you can see on screen, the UPS then triggered the automatic power on of the NAS, and then the NAS once again was up and running within 2 to 3 minutes. Overall, it's really tough to fault this device. It's native, it's compact, it's affordable, and it works. Now, you might be looking at this going, right, well, one, I can't power any other devices. And you're right, this device can't be used for a big bunch of other devices. Not a UPS with multiple mains power input. This is one UPS for one system alone. But that doesn't necessarily make that a bad thing. This is a specific UPS for a specific purpose, and it does the job. I haven't even talked about short circuit protection, surge protection, overcurrent protection, overheating protection. All of those are in this. It has controller management built in. We mentioned that with the firmware, and overhead management from the software being developed at the same time, and it's about $99. And UGREEN, let's face it, are a brand that have a tendency to throw a discount every now and then. I just can't fault it. So again, well done, UGREEN. You know, NAS, you've still got a ways to go. It's a great product, but you're still behind the curve in some things, but I just can't fault this. And frankly, I don't think you can either, but I'm sure some of you in the comments will tell me otherwise. But there's a link in the description if you get hold of one, and the written review coming soon. Now, if you enjoy these videos, if you found this video helpful, and if you want to support what we do, there's links in the description to getting hold of one of these for yourself. If you want to use them, great. Using those links will result in a small commission coming here to NAS Compares. It's just me and Eddie that run NAS Compares. We have to do everything, just us. And you might think ad revenue can cover things, but it just doesn't. Donations help, which is a bit much to ask. So using affiliated links allows us to keep doing what we do, thanks to small commissions that cost you nothing extra to support the creators you love. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.